You are listening to another lesson on the Yalak Emet channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon at this time. Today is September 4, 2022. My title today is Waiting on the Lord. I want to just take a moment to help us find some balance with your prayer and your waiting. We've gone through so many changes lately for the past few years, with people just jumping in and out of different religions even more. And then with what has gone on the past 2 or so years, people are getting a little bit nervous and so on. And of course, we can see what's going on in the world, why people would feel that way. If you say you serve the Most High, you have to keep in mind that all the strategies to make it through should already be inside of you and in the book. You are built to last. You are built to make it through stuff. If God's going to restore you and restore his nation, obviously a whole lot of us have to make it. So a lot of the scary things that are going on are to bring on fear, because the wicked who run the world, they need a lot of fear when they get up to do something, because it's not only that it is a powerful way to get people to move and do stuff that the elites want, but there's another reason for the fear. The fear weakens you and makes you more pliable. The fear makes you weaker and you are more likely to make a dumb decision. So you are not at your best. You're not thriving when you are in fear all the time. Now, a little bit of fear here and there is necessary in life. It's just a part of your makeup and the makeup of the world, right? Like if you're out in the wild and you see some wild animals that you know are dangerous, a little bit of fear might come into you to let you know, don't go over there. Or if you are already in the area and then you spot one of those dangerous animals, the fear will let you know to be silent, be careful with your movements and so on. Don't do anything drastic that might alert them to your presence if they don't know you're there. So fear helps you. But just a day in, day out, fear is not good. It will rob you of the minerals, even the minerals in your body and so on, right? It's going to rob you of too much of your health. So you've got to really just watch that fear, while at the same time, as I'm saying here, waiting on the Lord. So you need that strength in your spirit, which will give strength in your physical body as well, if you are not in fear but waiting on the Lord and trusting from a spirit level. So you got to learn to balance your prayer with waiting, because sometimes we're waiting, takes too long, so we just make some rash move and we do something dumb, something hasty and so on. Now, there are times when you need to make a quick move. Again, with those wild animals, if you see a quick way to escape and you see that they have seen you and they're coming quickly over to where you are, and there's a very quick escape, a quick dash into that escape, that makes sense. But again, just normally all the time, every move in life should not be that quick dash. So while sometimes you need to make some quick moves, an opportunity comes, it might not last too long. Sometimes, yeah, make a quick move and solidify that deal and things like that. But what I want to do here today is to get you to think in terms of balance. That in this life, you have to learn how to balance out things to let your life flow properly. Just like there's up and down, you throw something up, it will go up according to how hard you throw it. But eventually, based on the laws that are in the world, it's going to come back down. So whatever is going up is just going to come back down. Things like that, right? You get a lot of sunshine, eventually you're going to get some rain. You get a lot of rain, after a while it's just going to stop, right? So things balance out. To keep the planet healthy and moving properly. The tide comes in, then the water goes back out. Things are balanced in this life. So if you're always making quick moves, rash decisions, sometimes you might want to balance that out if things aren't working out, right? Balance it out with a little bit of slowing down, a little bit of waiting some more. And even people who say, "Oh, I've always made quick moves. It's always worked out for me." Well, those people are missing something too. Even though their quick moves, let's say in business, might work out well for them, they make a lot of money, then they still miss something else because balance is needed in all areas of life. Even though we say God lives in heaven, he still came down to earth because Adam heard the voice of God walking in the garden. So now, the person who is so successful based on quick moves, they still have to balance out certain stuff in their lives, because then quick moves will let them rush to work hard at closing that contract all the time. Well, you do that every single time, all the time. You can't wait till the next day or the next week to solidify something. You're going to lose your family life. You're going to lose your husband or your wife, stuff like that. You're going to lose out with that relationship with your children. Sometimes things got to wait, right? Because balance is needed all the time in this life, in different areas of our lives. So I'm just trying to get us to balance things out, especially as we move deeper into these what we call end times. We're going to be facing all kinds of challenges. But David was known to say a lot, wait on the Lord. So when you're biting your nails, bite them if you want to, that's your business. But I'm just saying, while you're biting your nails, learn to wait, learn to relax. Maybe you won't bite your nails as much, but when you learn to relax and wait some more, say, I'm gonna try to trust God in this situation, even if I don't do it perfectly well as I'd like to be, and be calm and cool while waiting. I'm gonna start practicing the waiting, because that's gonna cool down the temperature from your nervousness and your fear. That will help you to slip into faith and trust a little bit more. And then you will truly learn what it's like. It's taken me a number of years now to come to this point where I'm getting more of an idea. Well, I've still got a whole lot more to learn on it, but I'm starting to get an idea that God really does work things out. And some things I was wondering, how's it going to work out? What's going to happen? I'm learning to let go of the worry more and more as time goes on. Because I'm looking at things that have gone on and where I'm at now. And I realized that really it was true, the song we sang at the Christian church, He's got it all in control. God's got it all in control. He really does, if we can only learn. One of the reasons we don't learn how to trust and how to wait is because we've got too many people talking in our ears, feeding us same old-time message and strategies. Just bombard that thing with prayer. Just bombard that thing with prayer, fasting and whatever, and coming, and you got to get an answer to this and whatever. And then when you don't get the answer, then they tell you what to do. Or they go and preach it and tell you what to do. Or you go and look for that convention, and the visiting preacher, he preaches the stuff and he says, oh, that must be for me. Sometimes it's not for you, but because of the excitement and the urgency, the excitement in the service, the convention, and the urgency, and even the testimony from other people who said this and that happened for me and whatever, you feel you must get a testimony right away as well. And also the urgency that I'm mentioning here now, sometimes the urgency lets us take that word from the visiting minister or whoever we find on YouTube and feel that this is it now and it must go like this. Well, it doesn't have to go like that. You have an individual life. We're a nation, but you've got an individual life. You must learn to key in to what God is doing in your individual life. So collectively, He's bringing us through this to get the promises and the end of restoration and so on. But you still have an individual life that must be worked out. And not everything that someone says to you, like the New Testament says somewhere, try every spirit, for many spirits are gone out into the world. You got to test stuff, test the word, test stuff. And how does it fit into your situation as well? Once you begin to learn to trust some more, and the biggest part to learning to trust is to release the fear slowly. And once you learn that more and more, you will begin to, for want of a better way of putting it here, you will learn to become a little bit more skillful with having faith or with having trust. You will become a little bit more skillful in sizing up and weighing the voices that come to you, even from well-meaning people. Sometimes it's going to be a family member that will push you. You should do this, you should do that, and you don't want any improvement, and they will put you down and whatever, cornering you. When people are boxing you in a corner like that so much, it's because they feel they have power over your life. And if you see my will lessons that I've been doing, directed will, I still got more already recorded, just haven't edited them yet. But people want to impose their will on you and show their power over you. Sometimes, remember John Bradshaw, this psychologist, he's dead now, and he was talking about the family secrets. And sometimes families have secrets that are not easily seen by outsiders and are worse, not properly understood by the people in the family. So that there are unspoken secrets or unspoken rules that are never outright admitted in the family, in the house, but everybody plays their part in living them out because there is too much shame in identifying that mother or father has this kind of tendency or weakness in this area or that. When it's fine, in a lot of cases, if you've got those weaknesses, or this child is like that, or that child is like that. And so somebody else in the house wants to impose their will on you and to overpower you to make sure you stay within the confines and the realm of the secrets in the household. So they will keep pushing themselves on you and telling you what to do and how to do it. It keeps you a child. When God is freeing you, you got to, in order to move to trust in God, you have to be free from the family to a certain extent. Free now, I'm meaning internally. Because for God to bless you and to move you into another area in life, another kind of experience, you must get different kinds of experiences that will let you know it is all right to break from the stronghold of the family. And this doesn't mean I'm cursing your family. I'm just saying that in order to move into the family of the faithful ones, you've got to let go of some of the confines of the family you were born into that was not spiritually correct in certain views that they had and in the ways that they lived. Because for you to get to where you think God wants you to be, or where God really wants to take you, if nobody in your house has been there before, if mother and father never understood that, never went to that level, and if your brother and sister are going in a different direction based on how their life is going, then they have not been to the other direction where God wants to take you and what he wants to do in your life, in any area of this world that you'll be living in and participating in terms of your functions as you move through daily life on this planet. So if they have never been there, how can they still tell you based on old rules from the family how you should be, what you should do, what course you should take, how you should do that job, which job you should take, and what you should do with your money, and so on and so forth, and what thoughts you should carry in your mind, what concepts you should live by, and so on. Somebody is trying to hold you, keep you tethered down, tied down to what the family has always expected and what the family has always been like. Because the rest of the house will get uncomfortable with you going in a different direction. But if God is leading you, he's not going to go where the family wants to go. Because who is the leader of God? Is the family the leader of God and the leader of you? Or is God the leader, the one who established the family? I don't know where it is now, but there's a verse that says somewhere in the Bible, possibly Jeremiah, I'm not sure, that God setteth the solitary in the family for a certain reason. So God sets different kinds of people in the house in order to live certain kinds of ways and possess certain kinds of strengths and so on. Some people are more tuned into spiritual things. Others are more tuned into business things and so on. Some are more nurturing and things like that. Some would more deal with problem solving and different kinds of ways that we are. God does that. Just like one flower will bloom certain kinds of stuff and have different colors than another flower, and then both are coming up out of the ground and one stays small as a nice little flower. Next thing you know, after a couple of years, the other one keeps moving. Then you realize it's a certain kind of fruit tree and it grows tall up. with strong trunks and so on. It is not the plant you thought it was at the start, like the other little flower. So if God made you and made the whole house that you are in, how can somebody who never made you tell you what you should be and how far you should grow and where you should go? You set up the play men and so on when you were a child playing with the toy soldiers and so on. You set them where you want them to be set. And you put one in the toy jeep and so on, and one with a gun and so on, and the other doing this and that. You set them wherever. So if God is placing and positioning you in the family, and after a while God starts to move you to move to the edge of the city or outside of the city or to do a different kind of thing in this life, why should somebody be stopping you except that someone wants you to control you and keep you in? Now, when you couple that with all the craziness that's going on in the world right now, you have to understand that in order to get to where you should be, you're going to need a lot of faith and patience and trust, because you are getting ready to walk into new territory. Even with this deliverance of Israel, that's a new territory, because none of us living now has ever been in the Israel of God that the scriptures speak of. That was taken down, and if you're going to get back to it in the end time promise, that he's going to restore his people, his nation, and so on, then you've never been there the same way I've never been there. So God is the leader, and we have to learn to trust him in order to make it through this time. Too many people are crying silently, secretly, coming online looking for another word, looking for some hope, looking for something, whatever. People online begging for money and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I can't stop anybody for begging for whatever they want, right? In fact, I think prayer itself means to beg, if you look at it. So you're going to do some kind of begging, but in all your begging, make sure you are at least begging the right person, begging God. Teach me to believe you. Teach me to trust your word. Teach me to have faith. What is it like to really trust? And to settle my soul. Now, let's look here as we deal with balancing prayer with waiting on the Lord. Let's look at 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 11 to 14. And he said, "Go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and brake in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind, and after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake." So all kinds of strong, powerful things that indicate some kind of movement, the way things have always been. And it's like, this is a move of God, now it's an earthquake, this must be God. But he was not in that. So when people around you are telling you what they will do and what everybody else has done, the Lord might not be in that for you at this time. He might be in it later on down the road. He might be speaking through their voice later on, or have done so in the past, but it doesn't mean this time necessarily. So it's you who have to learn to trust the Most High, because your relationship should not be primarily with them, but with the Lord. Verse 12, "And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still, small voice." So after all the commotion and the strong words and powerful display of miracles from people who know God that create almost like a storm, a whirlwind, an earthquake in front of you with the miracles they say they have from God that has worked in their life in the past, and now they're going to preach miracles to you and all that. When it came down to it, it was just in a still small voice. The stillness of the voice that one has to be careful not to miss. Because sometimes people will dangle something in you, shiny, flashy, flashing it right before your eyes, the wisdom of this and the wisdom of that. Wisdom should not be robbed of its own essence and its own strength. But wisdom must fit properly in your life, or it is not being utilized. And you are the one who don't have the wisdom to know where wisdom principles should apply. It's like a country going to war, an army. They're not going to to use the wrong kind of weapon in a certain situation that doesn't call for it, doesn't need it, one, it will be wasted. That's going to cause the war to cost more. And also it might be overkill. They might cause more damages than they really intend and so on. So their skill in war still has to be balanced with how to apply the wisdom and the skill that they have in warfare. Just because a word sounds right and it is righteous and scripture can be quoted with it, you must learn to apply wisdom in your situations in this life. Don't hurt yourself. We're already hurting enough from all these lockdowns and the food shortages that they say are starting up already and so on. Verse 13. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entering in of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him and said, What doest thou here, Elijah? Now look at verse 14. And he said, I've been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword, and I, even I only am left, and they seek my life to take it away. Understand, people, what verse 14 is showing is something that happens in our lives as well. When we get too worried and fear is taking over and we think this is no longer God's business, I must fix it, then we become the worried and it makes us weaker. Now, the great Elijah is beginning to lose his spiritual relaxation and prowess and so on. Because now he starts to feel this is my job to fix. They've killed the prophets and whatever else they have done. So he starts to get worried now. And if you continue to read, you will understand that after this, God had him go and get Elisha, and bring him on, and he started to prophesy, and then, spent a little time with Elijah, and then Elijah was taken away. As soon as Elijah starts to show that he's afraid and fearful, God just says, you know what, your time is up. Go get this other guy, Elisha, anoint him, and your time is up. When people start slipping, sometimes things go downhill. You got to watch your fear, keep your prayer steady in your heart, and keep your faith and trust. Or you will be slipping because you're going to give in to fear, especially for these end times. It's not like I've got it all figured out either, but like Ecclesiastes says, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Because I still have a lot of stuff to learn and more grounds to cover and whatever in this life and blah, blah, blah. But I understand from a child coming up until now, having spent most of my life in church, from my head was where my needs are. I've seen a lot of stuff in church and now looking into the world and seeing the different things. I understand that there must still be a voice that will tell the people, because the preacher was wise. He still taught the people knowledge. Too many people already got this message coming out. I hope it won't be misunderstood, but I'll just deal with it. But it's about just the constant fear messages that people are telling us. And they're reading the Bible and telling you why you should be afraid of all these things that are coming. I'm not saying there won't be some fear to encounter and to manage, but don't use the Bible just to make yourself afraid and make the next person afraid. There's enough people telling you that the Bible is a trick and whatever, and the Bible is plagiarized and all kinds of stuff. Well, if you're going to spend your time reading it, make it at least work for you. Don't use it to fear yourself. Oh, we're going to die now, we're going to die. Use it to strengthen yourself. And watch the fear that's inside your heart. Feeling like you have to fix it all yourself. They have killed all the prophets, they have slain them, and they have forsaken your covenant and whatever. That's not your business. It's God's business. This is his nation. It's his people. He will fix it. You never started it. He started it. Just do your part and stop worrying over time over what the children of Israel have done. They're forsaking your covenants and your precepts. The most you can do is pray for the nation. Keep speaking your word that God has put in you, Elijah, and do your job and get your reward. Because you can't fix it anyway with all your worrying. You're just going to go to the grave faster. Your house in uproar. If you've done all that you could, you can't do any more but just wait on the Lord and pray and keep trusting and do the best things you know how to do in this life to approach that situation in your house, in your marriage, in your children's life. The rest you just have to let it go and leave it to God. Because you can't get it right or you would have done so already. Stop trying to fix stuff over time when it's killing you to do so. You will ruin it more, ruin yourself more. Next thing you know, you won't even be trusting in God anymore. Do as much as you can do. My mother used to say, when men on earth have done their best, angels can do no more. Kind of meaning that sometimes you just get to the point where that's all you can do. You can't do any more than even angels can and so on. So then you have done enough. Leave the rest to God. And sometimes God stirs up people anyway and brings trouble even to the righteous. You don't know where that trouble came from, why it started up. Just trust in the Lord. So sometimes when you see these quick occurrences and the big booming of the earthquake and the rumbling and whatever, you just want to run and make some quick change just to fix something. Oh, it's an earthquake, I better get up and fix it. But notice Elijah, when it was the sound of the storm, the earthquake, the whatever, he just still stayed in prayer. And he waited for the right moment. I'm telling you today, wait for the right moment. I'm titling this, Waiting on the Lord. He didn't just get up and make some rash movement just because, oh, sound of an earthquake. No, he stayed in prayer, waiting on the Lord, because he was trying to sense the move of God that pointed to a specific thing. That would what? Lock in and sync with his spirit, with what's going on inside his spirit. So just because God starts earthquakes and God is in an earthquake, he knew that it was not that he is looking for. Somebody will tell you God is over here, God is moving over there. You might have to do something different for right now because you're looking for something else that's embedded in your spirit. God has locked it in your spirit, and you got to keep waiting on the Lord. Learn to wait and trust and to figure out when God is moving in your life in a certain direction or not. Because if he's moving in your neighbor's life or your friend's life and they get on the phone and tell you this, that, and the other, you don't have to feel overly sad, because your time will come. It's just not your time right now. Just like the nations have been living in their heyday and enjoying their nice life, but our time is coming with all the changes that are happening. Let's read Psalm chapter 40 and verse 1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. Now he's saying here to wait. It means to look forward, to hope. And notice what Elijah was doing. He was waiting for. So even when the earthquake came and so on, because he was waiting for something in particular that would gel with him, that would sync with him. He didn't move because it's an earthquake. Because the earthquake move of God didn't gel with him. It didn't sink deep in his soul at the right level and frequency. So even though he knows earthquakes, those are done by God, he didn't give up in his waiting. Because it might be the move of God, but that's not the one that my soul is looking for. It doesn't click somewhere deep in my soul. So he said, I'm going to wait some more. You understand what I'm saying to you? You can listen to the message, the lesson, the teaching, the preaching. You must know when the stuff clicks inside of you. You're walking through the grocery store, you're looking for some food. You want something to go eat right now when you get home. You always eat this, but you just don't feel it's this. It's still food, and it's food you like, but it don't click. You go to the next aisle, it's not that, it doesn't click. Doesn't click. Till eventually, your eyes land upon something. You know you're going to go home and make this to eat right now. You're going to go home and prepare this. Why? Because that one clicked. All the others, you like them, you eat them for years. They just didn't click. Well, the earthquake didn't click at the time when it happened, when Elijah was praying. You see, I'm trying to teach you something that I found out through a lot of years of searching and looking for God. I had to learn through hardship and difficulty in this life that the stuff must click. No matter what they're telling you, because you got a life to live yourself. You got a life to answer for. And you got a miracle that you've got to get into your life. Because the next person's miracle might not be yours, might not come the way yours will come. So when the food cooks, then you buy that, you go home and you make that, and you are satisfied. Elijah knew the earthquake didn't click in the spirit. So he said, And people might laugh at you, might ridicule you, whatever. Keep waiting and trusting. It cannot fail. Even if you do something wrong, I'm telling you, as long as you continue to live and God gives you more breath, it's going to work out. Whether it works out the way you first thought it, or the person told you it should work out, and so on in that way, if you make a mistake, it can come back around. God knows how to bring stuff around. You see, you need some hope in your heart. You need some miracles in your heart before you can get the miracle sometimes out in the physical. Somebody needs to tell you that God can bring your life back around. I don't care how much bad news they're telling you, God can work things out. Might not happen in the time that you want it to and the way that you want, but God knows how to get it done. You haven't heard people talk to you about miracles in a long time. That's why you're so worried. You've heard them tell you you're a Hebrew Israelite. You've heard them tell you you are an Israelite, but you haven't heard the miracle talks the way you should have heard them. You've heard them tell you about this and the other and all the other stuff and the laws you should keep and so on. Where is the person telling you about the miracles that you will need to make it through the end times? God can bring you through. Even though you still got to cry sometimes. Because as the person who was being attacked and cornered by a wild animal, and the animal is waiting there, and they were able just to slip through between some rocks or whatever, and the animal can't get to them. And they just got to stay still to make the animal think that maybe they're dead or they've given up and they're just not coming out. And the animal will get tired of waiting after a long time. Well, while they're waiting and they were successful, because later on the animal left and they were able to get out slowly, carefully, and make it back home. Sometimes while they were waiting, something was biting them on their legs, but they can't move. As every time they moved, the animal woke up and shook itself, got up, stood up, came closer to where they are, sniffing and trying to push his paws through to get at them. So they know they got to be as still as possible until the animal just decides to give up. They can't scratch and hit whatever is biting them on their legs. And it's hurting them. See, I'm not a dumb person with the word anymore, because I've learned through hardship and through being abused by preachers, abused by teachers, abused by Sunday school teachers who taught me a lot of dumb stuff that messed up my life. I have learned that each soul must know when God is dealing with them. I've learned that you need wisdom in this life with all the knowledge and learning that you have. You need wisdom to go along with it. And sometimes you're going to cry through it and you got to bear the stuff that's biting you and it's hurting you. But you can't cry, just, but you can't let out a big cry. But relief will come if you keep trusting in God. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And there is no greater joy than the one who has endured. That's why the prophet said, the race is not for the swift, battle for the strong, but to those who can endure, because God knows that he built this life a certain way and endurance will count. Somebody tells you, if you don't have money to invest in stock market and buy this and that and invest in that and whatever, you're not going to make it. But the Bible says the one that can endure will get it in the end. The Bible says the one that can endure. They're telling you they're going to block sun and somebody else is telling you you need the solar panel and you need this and whatever. You can't invest in all that kind of stuff. You don't have the money to buy all that stuff. But the one who can endure. Because some of those buying that stuff is just going to get stolen anyway, or they're still going to end up failing some other kind of way. But some of them certainly will make it. But definitely, the Bible guarantees that the one who can endure while trusting in the Lord. See, God has worked out the miracle already. To say, if you don't have enough money, if you don't have enough skill, if you don't have enough friends, if you don't have family to help you, if you don't have this, that, and the other, but if you just have endurance, my word will see you through. My word will take you through. They took your job, but my word, the one who can endure, is what I'm talking about. Because that's what the prophet said. The prophet of return, Isaiah. The one who spoke the word to tell you how to return and how Israel will return. Because they are the ones who will endure through all the hardships and the difficulties of colonialism and all kinds of wickedness on this earth. Those ones that can endure, they will see the promises of God in this life. Let's carry on with it here. So he said, I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined his ear unto me, unto my cry. To wait means to delay movement until a motion happens. And then basically, then you move with it. So when there's certain things, the motion might not necessarily mean something fidgety and boisterous, right? Because like with Elijah, the bigness of the earthquake, but that wasn't with it. That wasn't the move of God that he was waiting on. But there will come a kind of motion that you can move with. When you see that motion, when you identify that, then when that motion of the still small voice happened, then Elijah knew this is it now. Because it's a motion that might not be external, but it's something internal where something sinks and clicks inside the spirit. Where you know, wow, there is some assurance inside me from a deep spirit level. This is the way. And it doesn't mean you've got it all figured out. It just means you can take another step right now and trust God to help you with the next step when that time comes. So to wait, to delay movement until a kind of motion happens. To delay movement or action until the arrival or occurrence of. To await, to wait for. He's saying he waited. Let me tell you something about this. If you read the book of Psalms, maybe more than anybody else, Psalms will tell you to wait on the Lord, wait on the Lord, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, you shall strengthen thine heart. Wait. Like this guy David was just, he must have been through it. Remember, Saul was trying to kill him anyway. He was running for a long time, got anointed for king and was waiting for a long time before he could be king fully over the whole land. Right? So this guy was waiting and running. Somebody's trying to kill me. I haven't done him anything and he's the king. I'm like, this guy really wants to kill me and he's got the power to do it. He's got the army with him. He can kill me. He had to wait on the Lord to bring him through all of those attacks. This man knew something about waiting. And he said, I will wait. Why didn't he just put together a few men that he surely could have done and gone to attack and kill Saul? He said, I will wait. So he kept his righteousness. When he could have killed Saul, he just cut off a piece of his garment and says, I will stop right here. I'm not going to do it. He knew how to wait because his waiting was something spiritual. His waiting, notice now, his waiting is not the waiting of other vain people who are trying to work out their life for themselves. He say, it must be in my hand. All the strategies of me getting to where I need to be to sit on that throne, I must carry out all those strategies and work out all those strategies myself. And somebody is telling you, you are dumb because you won't do this and do that this certain way and whatever, because this is how it's done. But inside your spirit, you are feeling you need to wait. You just don't feel released in you to do it that certain way. So you keep waiting and trusting, and they call you an idiot, you're dumb and whatever. But like David, you are learning to, you have an opportunity to learn to wait. To wait means to wait until the motion happens inside the spirit, where something moves inside of you that lets you know this is something happening on a God level. That brings you that assurance that this is the move to make and this is the time. That's the waiting. It's something that happens on the inside, and it may or may not sync with the outside fully. It's something on the inside, but a lot of times it's going to be something happening on the outside as well that you got to do, but you do it when that spiritual motion happens, that God moving happens on the inside that lets you know you are released to do that. But careful with that now, because you have to learn over the years by looking up in your life and seeing what moves you made, when you made them, what moves you did not make, when you were fast, when you were slow, who was with you when you did this, that, what situations you were in, what advice did you follow and take, and so on. Size up your life so that you can understand how the Spirit will communicate with you. Size it up, size it up, size it up, people. Come on. You can do better than you have done because God is with you. You can size up stuff. Understand why you did what and when you did it and who was manipulating you. Did it work out for the best? Why or why not? Did people leave you? Why did they leave you? When did they do it? What was their motive? What was their attitude? Did it make you angry when they did this or that to you? Did they have some hidden motive? Were they just people running in with quick strength, but they don't have longevity, and then they leave you stuck with the stuff? You got to take a look at it to understand that sometimes the Spirit may have been saying to you inside your heart, go ahead, or no, pull back, stay back, don't join that, don't do that. Because God's going to speak to you. He's always going to talk to you. Job said, God speaks to man once, yea, twice, but he perceiveth it not. So in a dream in the night, then he seals his word, his instruction in him. So God is always trying to talk to you. It's you who don't always pick up on it to see that God is telling me, pull back on this right now, or go ahead, this is the time. You have to learn that. You must take time. That's why now you get this word meditation, which is a very soulful thing. It's a very deep thing inside the soul, where the ancients were taking time to do all this meditation and they would remain still. No one in the Bible says, be still and know that I am God, and so on. Because these ancients who wrote these spiritual writings and wrote Torah and so on, they knew that people in the old days used to have a lot of time to themselves and they would meditate. They would go deep inside the realm of the soul. They would search and wait, and they would identify motion and moving that happens inside at the level of spirit, so they would know what's going on in their life and around them and when to move and when to do stuff. That's why even calendars were made, because after they watched the stuff inside the spirit and they watched the stuff in the heavens, then they would know that certain things happen at certain times. A clock in the heavens and in the earth and so on, so they could make a calendar from that. Calendars were made from people watching the move of the Creator up in the sky and how the light comes down on the earth and so on, and when things grow and whatever. You got to look inside your soul and see the movement, and when the light comes into the soul and shines brighter at certain points. When the light shines brighter in the spirit, the light of God that no man turns on for you. It's just something that happens to you when you are by yourself and the Spirit is telling you certain stuff, speaking to you certain stuff. You must manipulate those moments and use those moments to tap into what you should do in your life. When the light shines in, it's telling you the calendar in your life, what things need to be done next and when and so on. Because the answer is on the inside. So the ancients would meditate. That's why David was telling you, wait on the Lord. I waited patiently on the Lord, and he heard me and inclined his ear unto me. He waited patiently means just like Elijah, he was not getting up fast. Yeah, the earthquake, this is a move of God. No. He was waiting patiently because he was waiting not just for an earthquake, a big move of God. He was waiting for the particular move of God. And you must do that in your life. God is doing many things every single day. He's moving the clouds. He's sending the breeze. He's sending down water as rain. He's sending sunlight from the sun. He's doing all kinds of stuff. He's making the birds to fly. He's doing this, that, and whatever. He's causing the trees to grow and new plants to come up out of the ground and so on. So God is doing many things. So Elijah understood that already, and David understood that. That's why when he heard the earthquake, he wasn't thrown off from his waiting or his meditation, because he knows it might be a move of God, but God moves all the time, every single day. You must know how to look at the move of God happening around you and know when to move and when not, because God is always moving. It doesn't necessarily mean this movement is for me. That's deep spiritual stuff if you dwell and meditate on it and try to fit it into your life. God's doing many things. You must know which one is for you and at what time. So to wait is to delay movement. So David is saying, I waited patiently on the Lord, means he delayed his movement. Yeah, I can put together an army and go after Saul and deal with him, or I can go and fix this problem myself and do whatever all the time. Sometimes he might have done stuff like that, but sometimes he didn't. He said, I waited patiently. So he balanced it out. You can't get up and move all the time. Sometimes you got to make quick moves in life. I'm trying to help you to find some balance here. Sometimes you make some quick moves depending on what the situation is and what needs to happen at that time. But I want you to learn, people who listen to me, to balance out your life. Sometimes quick moves, sometimes learn to pull back and just wait some more and watch things. Watch how they develop. Size up things in the spirit and so on, and learn to apply wisdom and when to apply a certain kind of wisdom in a certain situation. So to wait to delay movement until motion happens, but I would say until motion happens inside of you, when the move of God is happening inside of you in a particular way that fits a certain thing in your life that will also get you to move in a certain direction that will bring you where you should be. See? Until a certain motion happens that gets you to move in that direction. So to wait, it also means to watch, as in a watchman, like some security guard. You're waiting. Like the security guard, he's looking out to make sure everything is fine, but he's also looking out to identify something that is out of order, so he can go investigate it. Elijah kept waiting and watching like the security guard. He wants to see the thing that is different, that will also necessitate a certain kind of response or action that he should take. When he got the certain action, he knew now God is dealing with me now personally. Then he could get up and go at the mouth of the cave and start to talk now. Hey, I'm concerned because they're getting rid of your law and they're killing the prophets and so on. Because he could time it and move past the first move of God, the second move of God, and so on. When the other move of God came, he said, this is the one I want. He jumped on that. You must learn to identify in the Spirit. So wait, to delay movement or action until the arrival or occurrence of. So wait on stuff. It also gives, I was looking at the word delay as well, and it says a period of time before an event occurs. And that's the same thing now you're dealing with Elijah here, waiting until the still small voice came. He delayed his response and his action and so on, whatever he could have done, for a period of time until a certain event occurred that he could accept. So he procrastinated, or he lingered more until something happened. What was it? In this case, it was a still small voice. Same with David. He waited on the Lord until God heard his cry, inclined unto him. In other words, David was lingering, procrastinating. I'm going to wait. People tell you you're wasting time. The ancients did it. They wasted time. They lingered because it takes that. You got to use up time. You love playing a certain video game. You stay on it all the time. You're like until you get very good. Well, these guys, they waited and lingered in the presence of the Most High until they got good at it. But today, we wait so long until we become experts at the Bible. No. Because some of these early people never had the Bible to read. Because it wasn't made yet. What were they lingering based on and so on? It was something on the inside that they were watching. Until emotion stirs within them, then they would know. See? Then after they got all this done, then they could get up and write a Torah, write a Bible. See how this works? The stuff is inside of you. 2 more verses here. Let's run to Isaiah 28 and verse 16. Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. That's what I'm trying to get across to you is balance. You've moved so fast, taken drastic actions in your life for so many years, and sometimes in some cases you have ruined your life to a certain extent. You got to balance it out. You've always been a person to move fast, make haste. Sometimes learn balance and slow down. Wait. Wait a little bit sometimes. Search the soul. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know what's on the inside of you. It must be on the inside. What if you were the one to live thousands of years ago and it was up to you to write a Bible, to make a Torah? Would you have been able to do it? Would you have searched the soul, or would you say there is no Bible? You would have had to go through this and do this for the world. So you must have it in you right now. You can learn balance. You can learn faith and trust and how to make hope stay alive until the right time when that hope will be realized in your life. You can do it. He says, he that believeth shall not make haste. So if he's already laid the foundation stone and so on, and lay the stuff in Zion. Zion wants to be built up. Zion wants whatever. But he says, don't make haste. Just kick back. I'm God. This is my building anyway. I'm going to handle it when it's my time. So he says, don't make haste. Just because I laid the cornerstone, just because that word is in you, he said, just wait, Zion. Just hold on. You see things getting crazy in the world right now. You want to make some drastic moves. Make any kind of smart move you can make. Of course, I support that. But sometimes still, learn to not injure your progress, your future, any more than people are trying to damage it now on the world scene. Protect yourself, learn some wisdom, don't give away all your money, things like that, and don't give away all your time, because you're going to need that time to focus and learn what's on the inside of the soul, the different compartments with which the soul on the inside is made up of. Get to know you. The more you get to know the soul inside, you will learn the wisdom of waiting. And you will not be quick always to make haste. Be so hurried in making some rash decision. Last verse here now. Isaiah 40 verse 30 and 31. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. So the ones who are strong, they've got it all together. Everything was mapped out. They followed all the rules. Things are nice, life flowing very good. They look like they're getting ahead, look like they'll never slip, and so on. The ones who have all the support that you want and so on. But even the strong ones will faint. Because something is coming on the earth, and those who seem like they've got it all together, they're going to be shown up. Even the youths will faint. The ones who have all the strong muscles, they're going to faint. Body healthy as ever, they're going to faint and get weary. Young men, they're not just going to fall, they're going to do so utterly. It's going to be big time. But they that wait upon the Lord, not those who have been working out, not those who took the right vitamins, not that you shouldn't do those things. But he's telling you this is coming, your success and the future that you're supposed to have and the miracles that are going to come into your life. They're not going to come because you have enough money and you got the right job and you got the proper credentials and so on and you got the best contacts and so on. He says it's not going to come because of something that you can do, from your own power. He says it's just something that you're not going to do. That is going to come out of. It's from just simply idling, just waiting. Just learning the soul, how the soul is the makeup of the soul, learning the inner you. To know that God is already in there, inside. And you will wait upon him, because once you realize that God is inside, you're going to be all right waiting. You're going to want to linger and procrastinate because I want to spend time with God. I want to spend time with me because God is on the inside. He's in my heart. I want to spend time knowing him. When you are there with him like that, then God will answer. David said, I waited patiently for the Lord. I lingered. I procrastinated. I delayed. I spent some extra time than some of my friends did. Because I was taking a look at the God on the inside and he inclined unto me, because that's how the miracles come. When God sees one spending time with him, he will incline unto them. But we have been taught that it's time with the Bible you must spend time with. Obviously, I love the Bible. I teach it all the time. So I'm not cursing it. I'm telling you, there is a difference between reading the word on the paper and reading the stuff that is on the inside, reading the makeup of the soul. Because the words on the paper came from what was going on inside the soul. That righteous men found out and they wrote it down. It came from the inside. So inclined to bend too. So I waited patiently on the Lord. I lingered, I meditated, I focused on the God or the godness that is on the inside, and an inclination happened. It's like magnetism. It just come, the magnet of God just come and bent. It came over to me. To incline, to perceive. So he's saying, and God perceived. Well, God is perceiving. It's usually people who perceive stuff. But what he's trying to tell you is that the God that you are dealing with is already in you. An inclination happens where the God part of you that you don't always connect with, and the regular you, that is the regular worldly you concerned with mundane earthly matters, they come together. The inclination happens where the God in you sees you waiting, trusting, looking, wanting to learn. How am I made up? I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Well, David wouldn't have said it unless he investigated the soul, the spirit, the life on the inside, the body, and so on. He didn't get that from reading the Bible, because the Bible don't tell you enough about how we are made up. It says a certain few nice things, yeah, but it does not. You have to go outside of the Bible to find out how the human body is made. So when he said we are fearfully, wonderfully made, believe me, he was looking at some other information. So you can do it too. And when he was looking at it like that, then now, and you see all this stuff in Egypt, in the temples, and they drew the stars and they map out and they tell whatever and so on and whatever. It's because they were reading some other information. They were investigating the universe, but they started inside the soul, inside of themselves. Right? So David was waiting like this, and an inclination happened. The Creator inclined unto him, he's saying. That's what he's saying. It will happen to you as well. He will incline to you if you search for God. Don't search for more understanding of your Bible more than you search for the God on the inside. Telling you, they've given us religion so that we would be trapped by it. Yeah, I'm going to tell you how this stuff works. Because even the people who wrote the Torah, or the Africans who wrote the Torah and so on, or the Egyptians who had it there, even though people argue who wrote it and who not, whatever, The first person who wrote what we call the Word of God never had the Word of God written down to learn from. So they must have got it from someplace else on the inside. Because an inclination happened on the inside. The first people who went into temples, they weren't reading books to go into temples. Something happened on the inside. An inclination of the divine came and latched onto them and locked into their inner being. And out of that, they got up and made a temple and then wrote spiritual books. I'm telling you, people, the miracles can still happen in your life if you will have that inclination happen inside of you, where the God part of you is coming into the regular part of you, your regular life. They will sync together. The God part of you will sync with the regular daily part of you. Your life can change. In the middle of all of this, no one should be telling you that it is hopeless and so on. Even if it is hopeless, you must believe and you must hope against hopelessness. Right? You must hope against all that stuff. Against those words, oh, doom and gloom. Where is the spiritual you? Where is the prophet, the preacher, the teacher, the Bible teacher who will tell you there is still hope? They spend so much time telling you how sad you are and how things are going to get bad. So they are creating sadness in you. They are creating a problem for you when you've already got a problem from all the lockdowns these past 2 or so years. Where is the person who will speak to uplift the soul because the teacher was wise? He still taught the people knowledge, the knowledge of God, the knowledge that says you can still be an overcomer. You are an overcomer, and the overcoming happens first inside the heart. It happens inside. And when the inclination happens as you keep waiting on the Most High, He will bring out that overcoming and cause it to happen on the outside in your life. And even in your very health as well in your body. So the young men shall utterly fail. Last verse here. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. So it's telling you, you don't have all the stuff you need on the outside, but it's coming from inside, something you already have. And it's not coming from health either, a healthy body. Right? Because you already addressed that. The youths, the young ones with good bodies and strong bodies and so on. He's saying this is something from the level of spirit. They that wait, that's the level of spirit. So even if you're sick on a bed getting ready to die, you don't have enough health to get you a miracle, but the spirit can bring the miracle because this is something happening on the inside, on the level of the unseen. They that wait on the unseen, wait upon the invisible. Those that wait upon what can only be imagined in the mind shall renew their strength, because they will not think of how the gas prices are and think of how joblessness is going on and food shortages. They will think upon strength. They will think upon having food to eat. They will think upon all things going right in their life enough to get them through this time. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Those that wait upon the Lord, they shall be as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and those ones shall walk and not faint. Those are the ones the prophet is talking about, how they will get the miracles in their life and move through this time. This is the Yalak Emmett channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon at this time. This was Waiting on the Lord, balancing out prayer and waiting. Balance them out. Learn to keep your prayer, but this time wait with it and not just pray and get up and make some rash, drastic move because you are afraid. You're living in fear too much, but learn to trust and wait on the Lord. Look on the inside just the same way you look on the Bible, but learn to look on the inside more. If they burn all the Bibles, I'm telling you, you should still be able to read the Torah that's written inside your heart. Thank you for listening. All the best to all of us.